Hello everyone, welcome back to the class. So this week is the last week we are going to read some chapters from this book, and for next week we are going to do an overall wrap up and see how this whole Three Kingdom novel ends. And this week we are going to encounter another very important moment in this whole novel, that is the death of the mysterious figure Zhuge Liang. And so far, we have encountered a lot of deaths of the main characters, all the characters we have been loving so far. And I hope this week's reading and also TV episode will give you a more conclusive idea of how to judge them and how you actually think about them or love about them. Okay, so this week's title is A Star Falls. So basically, it means two things. The first thing is the actual star. So Zhuge Liang, before he died, he looked at the sky and look at the constellation again and say, "There is a star. It will fall soon," which means my life will end soon. And also for not only the Shu Kingdom but also the Three Kingdom world, Zhuge Liang or孔明is just that kind of a bright star in the dark air, in the dark sky. So when a star falls means Zhuge Liang dies, and everything brightness, every hope for the Shu Kingdom, and every exciting things dies away with him. So I think this title encompasses this kind of two layers of meaning. And the first part of the story for this week is chapter 95 and 96. Basically, it talks about the story of a general Ma Su. Ma Su is a minor character. He is the son of Ma Liang. Ma Liang is someone who was always fight with Liu Bei, but together with Ma Su. So Ma Su is now still a very young general, but he wanted to make some achievement, and he volunteered to guard a very important city, Jieting. And if that city was taken by the Wei Kingdom, the whole northern expedition launched by Zhuge Liang will fail. So that spot is very important. So Zhuge Liang is not very confident to let the less experienced general like Ma Su to guard it. But Ma Su is so confident and he volunteered to do it and even made a vow like if he cannot guard Jieting successfully, he would like to be executed, which unfortunately became his destiny. So let's first take a look at the timeline. So at that time of Ma Su's execution in chapter 96, actually it is 228 CE. So if you look at this map, this is basically how the territory changing in the Three Kingdom world. So 228 CE will be between these two pictures, and the Yellow Turban Rebellion, so the very start of the story, actually happened 44 years ago. So from here to here there has been 44 years. And also the movie, if you still remember, the Battle of the Red Cliff is 20 years ago. And also Guan Yu died have already been be dead for 8 years, and Liu Bei for 5. So just give you a idea like how these people situated in the whole timeline. And now we have seen more of the generational change. So all of the central characters we have known since chapter 1 are dead, like the three brothers and Cao Cao and other people with them. Many of them have adult sons, or in Cao Cao's case, even a grandson, now active in the plot. So we are moving on to the last part of the story, and literally are observing how those characters, how those famous characters' sons get on the stage and made a play by themselves. So for example, Zhang Bao, from his surname Zhang, you can speculate he is the son of Zhang Fei. And Guan Xin, of course, Guan Xin is another son of Lord Guan or Guan Yu. and Cao Rui. Cao Rui is actually Cao Cao's grandson, so the second emperor of the Wei Kingdom. And we even saw Sima Zhao. Sima Zhao is Sima Yi's son. Even Sima Yi is here still fighting, still play the main role in the whole stage. But Sima Zhao is always alongside with Sima Yi. So all these kind of the generation of sons is now getting onto the stage. I put a card from the Three Kingdom board game here, which is very interesting because on this card, it kind of combines Guan Xing and Zhang Bao. So these two sons, they act as one hero in this whole game. And their ability is very interesting. Literally translated 复魂 can be literally translated the soul of our fathers. So basically, after something, if they qualified for some conditions, they are able to get ability by their father. So basically, Guan Xing and Zhang Bao, as a hero themselves, they don't have any ability, but they can, by fulfilling some requirement, to get ability by their fathers. So I think this is very true to the story, which means like Zhang Bao and Guan Xing, we barely know anything about them. We just know their names. We know they are son of famous generals, but they didn't make any outstanding achievement in the story. And we know them because they are the son of someone. So they didn't shine from by themselves, and they are always living in the shadow of their fathers. And also of other central characters we met later, only Zhao Yun, so the Zhao Zilong, and Zhuge Liang remain. And if you watch the TV episode or you read the chapter, you realize Zhao Yun still keep winning every battle he fight. And Zhuge Liang is still planning for everything. So every main characters we have encountered in the first half of the story is still kind of very important and make everything happen in the latter half of the story. So just as I said, the deterioration of the generation is very obvious and you can feel it. And now we are officially encountered one very important character, Sima Yi. And Sima Yi actually first appeared in chapter 39, not long after Zhuge Liang's first appearance. But he is always there, but never play a very important role. Only became important in later chapters, like the chapters we are going to read for this week. So basically, Sima Yi is a very strategic person. He's very wise, and he is very suspicious about everything, and is a very good general and strategist. So he and Zhuge Liang are basically the counterpart in the latter half of the story. And we'll see actually two main fights between Sima Yi and Zhuge Liang in the reading and episode for this week. And please pay attention to how Sima Yi and Zhuge Liang compete with each other with wisdom and military power and everything. And so just a little bit of spoiler. So Sima Yi, actually the Sima family, as I said in my previous video, later will took over the power of the Cao family and not only became the king of the Wei Kingdom, but eventually unite the three kingdoms. So he, or not only Sima Yi, but the Sima family is just that capable of finally achieved what Cao Cao, Liu Bei, and Sun Quan want to achieve in these 50-ish years. And to give you a geographical concept, so now we are focusing on the square part. And if you still remember this map, so in the northern part, that's Wei Kingdom, in the southern part, that's Wu Kingdom, and in the southwest part, that's the Shu Kingdom. And basically what is happening in the Ma Su story is happening in the square where the Shu Kingdom bordered with the Wei Kingdom. And that is also the route Zhuge Liang launched the northern expedition. If we zoom in, we'll see basically Hanzhong. is the base of the capital of the Shu kingdom. And Jieting is that very critical spot that the Shu kingdom have to get Jieting in order to secure their success, the success of the northern expedition. But Ma Su basically loses this spot to the Wei kingdom, which forces Zhuge Liang to retreat to the Xichen. And here he played a mental game with Sima Yi and tried to pretend he has everything, but actually what he had is only empty city. So the very famous strategy of the empty city happened here in Xichen. And after repel Sima Yi, Zhuge Liang retreat from Xichen back to Hanzhong, and the total northern expedition is failed. So also very important thing is Ma Su's failure. And that the way to portray Ma Su's failure is very different in the whole novel, because it brings out an idea that practice and theory, which one is more important. So we can, in Chinese, conclude Ma Su's failure in 4 characters, 纸上谈兵, which literally means talking about strategies only on paper. Or you can interpret it as be a armchair strategist. So word versus practice. Even if you have all the knowledge about how to lead an army, but without all the practice and without listening to other people's suggestion, you will still fail. And also about Ma Su's death, that's a very interesting question I posted on the forum as well. I want you to think about why it is so important for Zhuge Liang to execute Ma Su at this moment. Because earlier we also see Lord Guan made that promise, like if he let Cao Cao go, if he didn't kill Cao Cao, he would like to be executed. But after Lord Guan let Cao Cao go, actually Zhuge Liang didn't do anything about him. But at this moment, his treatment to Ma Su is totally different. They're exactly the opposite. So why the treatment to Guan Yu and to Ma Su are so different? I think this is also one of the most interesting questions we need to think about. And now let's move on to chapter 103 and 104. Basically, it talks about Zhuge Liang's death and very briefly what happened after his death. So let's now draw another timeline. Zhuge Liang was 27 when he left the Dachur hat to follow Liu Bei. And he dies at age of 54. So basically all these 27 years, he followed Liu Bei and tries his blood and flesh to try to build this Shu kingdom to help the Liu family gain the throne and to have a territory, to build up his own army, to have one portion of the territory under the heaven. He does everything, but eventually he failed. And also, one thing very interesting is his everlasting power even after his death. Now we have seen Guan Yu's power after his death. His spirit became a ghost and took life of at least 2 generals, and eventually be pacified by a monk, and people need to perform the ritual to worship him every year in order to have him as a protective god instead of a haunted ghost. But for Zhuge Liang, after his death, he even used tricks, or he leaves some tricks for his other generals to use to repel Sima Yi and to predict the betrayal of another general named Wei Yan and have him killed. So basically, his afterlife is still closely connected to his own ability about predicting the future, knows what to do, always makes a good choice, things like that. now we can come to a sort of conclusion about Zhuge Liang. And I think one of the most interesting things to think about is whether you will consider him as a tragic hero or not. So first, do you think Zhuge Liang is portrayed as a deity or a human? Because he gained so much mystical power, or so many the ability to observe the heaven and the earth, to know everything, to predict the future. But on the other hand, he also seems to have some flaws like a human. So what would you think? Do you think he's a deity or a human? And also, his death inevitably meant the failure of the Shu. But do you think he should be the one responsible for all this? Or to which degree he should be responsible for this failure of Shu? And also his legacy. So he passed his knowledge to several other generals, but all these generals didn't actually carry them out successfully. So how to evaluate his legacy? How important or how efficient his legacy was, and why he was he was not able to find a successful successor for himself to help the Shu kingdom to be stronger again. And also, I think one more very interesting question is there are so many what ifs considering this very interesting figure. So, for example, what if Zhuge Liang, in the first place, didn't agree with Liu Bei to go out of his thatcher hut to follow him to fight? What will happen to him? And what if Zhuge Liang didn't follow Liu Bei, but actually followed Cao Cao? What will happen? Will the Wei kingdom become more powerful and took over the other two kingdoms very easily? And what if something else? So there are so many what ifs if we consider the ending of Zhuge Liang. And I think we will have a very interesting discussion this Thursday considering this mythical and well-beloved figure. Okay. So that's about it. I really hope you enjoyed this week's reading and the TV episode. Don't forget to leave a comments and questions down below, and I will see you on Thursday. Bye!